Welcome back to welcome back to More Sip the Tally. I'm your host, Coach Evans, and most of you know I'm a huge fan of Mike Penix. I would go out on a limb and not even going out on a limb. I'm going to go ahead and say he's my second favorite quarterback in the NFL right now. I don't know what attracted me to his play at the University of Washington, but I became a big fan when he was at UW. Didn't know anything about him at Indiana, but him at Washington, I became a huge fan. I love the fact that he wears my favorite number. Maybe it was that attracted me to him, but love his game, love what he does, and now that he's taken over as a starter in Atlanta, I wanted to take a look at what Atlanta has done this offseason to try to make the team better for him going forward. If you don't know, they signed Kirk Cousins to this huge contract last offseason, and then drafted Mike Penix with a top 10 pick. So now you're wondering, like, why? Season went on. Season was not going the way they wanted to go, even though Kirk Cousins had some big wins with them and some big games as well. The 500-yard versus Tampa Bay. But at the end of the season, they went with Mike Penix, and going forward, they are going with Mike Penix as well. If you didn't know, Kirk Cousins picked up $10 million from them, recently. And what I will say this before I get into the Mike Penix stuff, I respect Kirk Cousins because no matter what Kirk Cousins does for the rest of his life, he's gotten bags over the course of his NFL career. He's bet on himself a bunch and gotten bags over the course of his NFL career. So respect and salute Kirk Cousins for betting on yourself and getting your money because you have done well for yourself. But to Mike Penix, I want to take a look at what the Falcons have done this offseason to improve the team, because you can always, you always have a chance to win the NFC South. The NFC South hasn't been the greatest division over the past 5 to 10 years. It's the Saints, it's the Falcons, it's the Buccaneers, it's the Panthers. And if you get some young talent, which I think the Falcons have, now I think they have a franchise quarterback, they can get rolling and kind of set themselves up to dominate that division. So let's take a look at what the Falcons have done to set Mike Penix up to be successful. And we're only going to take a look at the offensive side of the ball in this episode right here. So welcome back to More Sip the Tally. I'm your host, Coach Evans. Let's roll that intro. So the first thing the Falcons did was re-sign left tackle Jake Matthews. They agreed to a 2-year, $45 million extension with left tackle Jake Matthews. The sources tell Mike Garafolo and Rap Sheet. Matthews gets $38 million fully guaranteed for the next 2 seasons, years 12 and 13 as Atlanta's front side now, because Mike Penix is left-handed protector. Now, taking a look at Matthews over his career, he's been solid. Other than I will say this. His rookie year was the only year he wasn't one of those guys. I'll take it that. But last year, almost 1,200 snaps, PFF grade overall of 79, run blocking grade 70, pass blocking grade, which we know is what Penix loves to do, 85. And you're going to get a lot of outside zone with Atlanta. We know they got Bijan. We know they got they're gonna run wide zone. They're gonna run a little inside zone, and having a guy that can make defenders defend the width of the field as far as the depth of the field on the edge, and set lanes for Bijan to do what he does in the run game, and also protect Mike Penix so he can make down the field reads, was key to Atlanta having a successful 2025 season. So the first domino was re-signing Matthews, and it's nothing but good things in that category. Let's go on to the next. Falcons went on to sign 2 special teamers as well, Cordero Hodge, and now one of those guys are going to help in the receiving game as well. I'm not sure which one, but both of them are special teamers. So one's going to have to help in the receiving room. But what I will say is that will help them with starting drives. And we all know, if we pay attention to football, and most of us do, the farther up the field you start your drive, the better chance you have of scoring a touchdown. And what that means is the closer you start away from your goal line, the better your percentage of scoring goes up. So if you start on the 20, and let's throw a random number out there, you have like a 10% chance of scoring. You start that drive on the 40, that percentage goes up to like 35, 40%. You start that around the 50, that percentage goes up to maybe 50. So that's what I'm saying. In the return game, especially with the way they're trying to get more returns going, if you can get a guy that can return some kicks and get you better field position, your better starting field position gives you a better chance to score points, which will in turn help your offense. I think I see where they're going. With signing those guys, obviously some of them are going to help in the return game, but you're trying to get the ball out of Penix's hands quick, and you're trying to have guys that can do stuff after the catch. You're looking for yak guys that can, short, quick game, slants, hitches, basic routes that can get stuff and do after the catch stuff. So I kind of see where they're potentially going with these off-season signings. Still trying to secure that offensive line for Penix. They re-signed the backup guard, Kyle Hinton. He played sparingly last year, only 83 snaps, played 38 at left guard, 44 at right guard. And it really, at any offensive line position, you're trying to get depth. Offensive line play throughout the NFL is not the greatest. It's because every other position besides offensive line, the athletes have gotten bigger, faster, stronger. Now, offensive line, they have gotten bigger, faster, stronger as well. But I think the other positions around the league have done it, I don't want to say faster, but they're in more of a position to be better athletically. And so as offensive lineman, you got to have mass on you. You got to have girth on you to be able to withstand that pounding. And the offensive line position has to find a way to catch up with the defensive line position. Those guys have gotten smaller. They've gotten more athletic, but still have kept that strength. The offensive line position has got to find a way to kind of match that. Because if you get too big, then you can't move. But if you get too small, you're not strong enough. So the offensive line position has to find like a good balance of size and strength to counter what the defense is doing throughout the NFL. Also signed Elijah Williams, who you see on the screen only had one snap with the Denver Broncos last year, so another backup guy to kind of go in that rotation. I will say this, though. They lost a key piece to the offensive line, their center, Dahlman, to the Chicago Bears, so finding a replacement from there for him is going to be crucial throughout this process, whether it be through whatever little free agency is left or in the draft. And then lastly, they signed Felipe Franks. I don't think this does much but just add depth to that tight end room and also more familiarity. He only played 45 offensive snaps, but he played 350 snaps total, mostly being on special teams. So continuity, guys that are familiar with the system, no huge splash other than they're re-signing their left tackle. So the draft is going to be huge for Atlanta. And in the next video, we'll kind of take a look at what draft picks they have and who's potentially going to, who are potential targets for the Atlanta Falcons to kind of improve their offense. But matter of fact, first we'll take a look at what they have on offense and what they need before we get into the draft. So this is what I think. But this is what the Falcons have done in free agency to start to build around Mike Penix. The first big step, though, is this draft and see how the season plays out. Then they can go forward with free agency next year and the draft next year. But Mike's going to have a huge opportunity to play with some, what I think are some extremely talented offensive guys. And Bijan and Drake. I'm extremely excited to see what he can do with a full offseason as the guy under his belt, a full camp under his belt, and a full NFL season under his belt. So if you guys are excited like I am, smash that like button. Drop your comments if you excited to see what the Falcons have coming up, or if it's just some information that I missed out and I need to know about. I appreciate you guys coming out. This is Coach Evans. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with me. I appreciate you coming back to More Sip the Tally. Peace.